He commanded 1,000 ships to erase one city, and it cost him everything he loved to do it. This is the story of Agamemnon, king of Mycenae, the mightiest fortress in all of Greece, a man who wanted glory above all things. He ruled with an iron will, feared by his enemies and obeyed by his people, but his hunger for power would never let him rest easy. Beside him stood his wife, Clytemnestra, a queen as sharp-minded as she was beautiful, bound to him by marriage but never truly by love. Together they had a daughter, Iphigenia, gentle and beloved, who trusted her father completely, a trust that would one day be shattered. Agamemnon's younger brother, Menelaus, ruled the nearby kingdom of Sparta, married to a woman whose beauty was said to be unmatched in the world, Helen. Then a Trojan prince named Paris arrived as a guest in Sparta, charming, foreign, and utterly captivated by Helen the moment he saw her. While Menelaus was away, Paris convinced Helen to leave with him, sailing back across the sea to Troy. Whether by love or by force, no one agreed. Menelaus returned to find his wife gone and his honor stolen. Furious and humiliated, he turned to the one man with the power to make Troy pay: his brother. Agamemnon saw more than his brother's shame in this. He saw a chance to lead every kingdom of Greece into one great war and rule as its supreme commander. He summoned every Greek king and warrior bound by an old oath to defend Helen's marriage, and one by one, their armies gathered at the harbor of Aulis. Among them came Odysseus, a famously clever king known for his sharp wit, and Achilles, a young warrior so fierce that soldiers whispered he could not be killed. But the gods did not smile on this war. For weeks, no wind stirred the sails, and 1,000 ships sat trapped, going nowhere. Desperate, Agamemnon called on Calchas, the army's seer, to explain why the winds refused to blow. Calchas revealed a terrible truth. The goddess Artemis was angered, and only one sacrifice would satisfy her: Agamemnon's own daughter, Iphigenia. Agamemnon was torn apart, refuse, and the war ended before it began. His honor ruined. Obey, and he would have to kill his own child with his own hand. He sent word to Mycenae with a lie, that Iphigenia would marry the great Achilles at Aulis. Overjoyed, she and her mother made the journey at once. A terrible price. Agamemnon chose the war over his daughter, and Iphigenia was sacrificed at Aulis. The winds returned that same day, and so did the fleet's course toward Troy. Clytemnestra watched her daughter die and never forgave the man who had lied to bring her there. From that day, she carried a grief that slowly hardened into hatred. She returned alone to Mycenae, ruling in her husband's absence, but nursing a wound that would fester for the next 10 long years. Meanwhile, the Greek fleet finally reached Troy, and the war Agamemnon had paid so dearly for finally began. For 9 years, the siege dragged on, the walls of Troy never breaking, both sides bleeding without a clear victor in sight. As supreme commander, Agamemnon claimed the greatest share of spoils from every raid, and one dispute over a captive woman brought him into bitter conflict with Achilles. Agamemnon seized a woman promised to Achilles as his prize, wounding the warrior's pride so deeply that Achilles refused to fight for him any longer. Without Achilles, the Greeks nearly lost the war entirely, suffering heavy defeats until tragedy forced Achilles to return to the fighting at last. Even with Achilles fighting again, Troy's walls held firm until Odysseus devised a plan no army had ever dared to try before. A massive wooden horse, built as a false peace offering, hid Greek soldiers inside its belly, while the rest of the army pretended to sail away. The Trojans, believing themselves victorious, dragged the horse inside their own walls, not knowing they had just opened their city to its enemies. That night, the hidden soldiers slipped out and threw open the gates, and Agamemnon's army poured into Troy under cover of darkness. After 10 years of war, Troy finally fell in a single brutal night, its towers burning and its king's line destroyed. Among the captives taken that night was Cassandra, a Trojan princess cursed to see the future clearly and never be believed by anyone who heard her. Agamemnon claimed Cassandra as his own prize of war, and though she warned that terrible danger awaited him at home, he refused to listen. With Troy in ashes and his war finally won, Agamemnon set sail for Mycenae at last, believing his glory now outweighed every price he had paid. But back in Mycenae, Clytemnestra had spent 10 years turning her grief into a plan of her own, and she had not spent those years alone. She had taken a lover, Aegisthus, a nobleman with his own old grudge against Agamemnon's family, and together they had waited patiently for his return. When Agamemnon's ships finally reached the shore, Clytemnestra greeted him with warm words and a hero's welcome, hiding every trace of the rage beneath. She led him inside, laid out a lavish bath to wash away 10 years of war, and while he stood there, unarmed and unsuspecting, she made her move. Blood for blood. Cassandra, who had warned of this very moment and been ignored, was killed alongside him, her final prophecy fulfilled too late for anyone to save him. With Agamemnon dead, Clytemnestra and Aegisthus seized the throne of Mycenae together, believing the long cycle of vengeance had finally ended in their favor. But Agamemnon had a son, Orestes, smuggled away as a child for his own safety, who grew up far from Mycenae carrying only one purpose in his heart. Years later, Orestes returned home as a man, determined to avenge his father's murder no matter the cost to his own soul. He confronted Aegisthus and his own mother, Clytemnestra, inside the very palace where his father had fallen, and in a final, agonizing act, he killed them both. The curse that had haunted his family for generations finally broke that day. But the cost had been every person Agamemnon ever loved or ruled beside. Agamemnon had won the greatest war of his age, but in choosing glory over the people closest to him, he lost his daughter, his marriage, and finally his own life, a king undone by the very ambition that made him great.